on the street chasing wrong from right. Eyes like fire burning through the haze. Truth is a weapon, cuts through the maze. Some call her trouble, some call her brave. Digging up secrets they tried to save. A real deal around town. She's breaking it down, spinning the wheel, exposing the sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her cry. Shadows, they curse her name. Afraid of the spotlight she brings to the game. But the grateful ones, they cheer in the dark for the spark she ignites in their weary hearts. Some call her danger, some call her hope. She's the thin line on the tightrope. The sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her crown, yeah. The sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her crown, yeah. The truth's her crown, yeah.
Well, hi everybody, we're back again. We've got a select board meeting tonight. And, oh, I gotta get my logo up there. Gotta make this real. Real for real deal. We're a little, we can't keep up with what time the select board have their meetings. I don't know if this will be a marathon meeting or not. But today, it's a 2-for-1 special. The select board are meeting at 5 o'clock. I forgot what time it is. It's about 5:05 now. And I gotta, whoops, sorry. I had to fix the camera here. What a mess. I'm miscombobulated here. But anyway, so tonight is a 2-for-1 special. We're going to start off with this just plain old select board meeting. But it's not really a plain old select board meeting. They're going to give us some nonsense, which they always do. But the primary reason for their meeting tonight is to go over the warrant for the special town meeting that's scheduled for February 25th, which will be held at the high school. I think it'll start at 7. I haven't seen it. Yeah. I just thought of something. No, it's too late now. Forget it. I just don't care anymore. But anyway, we're going to go over, the select board's going to go over the warrant. And I'll let you know. I'm going to do what I usually do, and I will be once I get the warrant in hand, which I should in a couple of days, it should be posted on the town's website shortly, in a couple days, and I'm going to do a meeting probably sometime this week or early next week we're going to go through the warrant articles, and I'll tell you the real deal on each of those articles. So, Yeah. Then after they finish their meeting, I don't know what time they're going to end. Probably around quarter of, maybe even before that. They can't go much later because they are going to get in their cars and drive down from Townsend Town Hall to the North Middlesex High School, where they're going to be meeting with the school committee and the other towns, Ashby and Pepperell, and they're going to have a budget summit meeting. And I believe everybody could go down there, drive down there and attend yourself, but it's going to be on Zoom. So at some point I have to get ready. I have to get their information up. I'm pulling that down. Okay. So, yeah. So we're going to go from the select board meeting to the school committee meeting, and where we're going to listen to them. So I'm going to keep this live stream going while we make that transition. So we'll have a gap of probably 10 minutes. I'm going to try to keep talking, but I'll be doing the technology change over, and to go from one Zoom meeting to the other. And hopefully we can do that without a hitch. And let's see. I've got a lot of concerns going on here today. There's financial shenanigans going on in Town Hall, as you can... I mean, did you think there wouldn't be? I really got concerns about the numbers that are getting thrown out. They're bad. They're really bad. And they're playing games. The select board and the select board office are playing games. Mark my words. It's not going to be pretty when this all comes out. And the shit won't hit the fan terribly much until May, like usual. Because that's when things really are going to be shown. But I've heard a rumor that the warrant articles are going to have some overrides on it. And I'm telling you, before we even watch that, I want you to know that as much as I'm not happy about the way they're doing this, I don't like the way they're doing this, but I support the overrides. I wanted them to do something completely different, and this is just not helping. What they're doing tonight it jeopardizes everything. And it's only going to be any good if everybody agrees in April and votes, because you have to vote twice on an override, once in the town meeting and once in the election. I wanted them to do a higher number, and I wanted them to do it in the election first, because that's where people really vote. Most people in this town don't go to town meeting. So when something passes at town meeting, it doesn't mean it's going to pass at the election, because more people will go to an election, especially if there's an override, because all the no people are going to come out in droves. But people don't really want to go. A lot of people don't want to go to town meeting because it takes all night, and a lot of the stuff they don't understand, and they don't feel their vote matters, and well, honestly, sometimes it just doesn't. And it's kind of group consensus, and if you're not really following everything, a lot of people just don't care about town meeting. I usually go because you learn something, and you get to talk to people. You get to see who people are if you don't know them, and you get to meet new people. It's quite a social event, maybe, depends. Or if you know a lot of people, there's people you don't see except at town meeting, because people don't go. We don't do a lot of stuff anymore. So that's a deal. But we'll cover that. They're going to cover the warrant. I'm not going to be interrupting because of the way I have the technology set up tonight. I'm just going to let them talk. And then once they're done, once we have the intermission, I'll do all the technology shift over while we're live, and so that we can be ready for the school committee meeting. It should go without a hitch. So anyway, I want to give a slight weather report while we're waiting. It is 5 o'clock. They should be starting. I don't know what's going on. Let me see. I don't know what's going on. Did they forget? TCAM's there. Interesting. I'll just keep talking. My weather report. Are you enjoying the heat wave? I think it was up to 29 today, possibly in Townsend. That's what my weather app said. It got up to 29. It touched 29 briefly. And I'm happy to report that after today, it's during daytime only. The daytime temperatures will get up to above freezing all week. For the next 7 days, during the day, will be above freezing. Now, I'm excited because I've been freezing my butt off, and I don't like to do that. I don't like to be cold.
TCAM, are we good to go?
I guess I'm going to bring them up
Give me
now.
1 second.
1 second. Technical difficulties.
An agenda and a copy of the warrants.
This meeting is being recorded.
Even though there's no video.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I will call a joint meeting to order on February 9, 2026
I
at
don't think this is a
5
joint meeting.
p.m. for the select board, and it will adjourn and then reconvene at the high school with a joint meeting of the North Middlesex Regional High School.
Can everybody hear the
School committee.
meeting? I think you should. Just in case you can't, let me know. Because I've been having
Roll call, please.
technical stuff.
Present, and Washington present. Would you join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Monica's not in a good mood tonight.
I pledge
wonder.
allegiance to the flag of the
I
United
think
States
I
of
know.
America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank our veterans and all of our military serving here and abroad, as well as our emergency response individuals, all of our staff, and all of our elected and appointed officials, as well as their families. Thank you all very much. Joe, thank you.
I would like to appreciation for the town clerk for posting the open positions for the town election, which is on April 27th, on Monday, that the positions are open. The announcement on the website says seats are available for the annual town election. I just want people to know that that means positions are open and papers can be pulled. So if you're interested in running for an office, please check that announcement. It's not like buying tickets for Eventbrite or anything like that. No, not that kind of seats. So anyway.
Thank you, Veronica. So everyone heard that, right? The open positions are posted. Okay. We are being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. Is anyone else recording?
Yes.
Okay. Duly noted. And 1.4 topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I don't have any, do you?
I do not.
All right. And it's a joint. Okay, so we're just gonna go down to 5, old business. Review, discuss, approve special town meeting, February 25th, 2026, warrant articles. Kieran, you want to talk?
Sure, I printed out a copy for the board to take a look at. I have one there, I'm sure a couple grammatical edits and maybe the right naming conventions in a few places. The goal here would be to have you guys review this. We discuss it, and we've had town council, share their, edits for, writing the articles. And, pending a few grammatical or clerical edits, perhaps we'd be ready to vote on it. But feel free to jump into Article 1, or I guess just above that, we are at the high school, 19 Main Street, February 25th, 7 p.m. Doors open about 6:30 p.m. there that night with the folks helping us check in. More people, the better. Article 1, if you want me to jump right into it, is our discussion of ClearGov.
Can we project this on the screen? Is that possible?
The article?
The whole warrant, so that people can see what we're discussing.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if that's possible.
Let's give it a college try.
Would you like me to read the article before we discuss it, or?
If you want to, yeah.
It's up to you guys.
Doing this, go for it.
Go ahead.
So Article 1 is to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $41,599.79 for the purchase, implementation, and initial subscription of budgeting and financial planning software for ClearGov, including onboarding and setup services, or taking any other action relative thereto. We don't have to read all of everyone, but
On their topic, any question?
No question. I'm just wondering, do we have to get that granular, or can we just say $41,600?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't know how picky they are about the pennies, but I have
Okay.
I have no problem with it either way, personally.
Let's leave it the way it is. Town council vetted.
Yeah,
But
Adam checked it, so I'd
I have
rather.
a question.
me too, but go ahead.
Did you get the breakdown if there is a setup fee and a
Mhm.
subscription?
So that 41K, let's say $42,000 for
Yeah.
easy number, that's the first year. And then the following year, it's about $23,000-ish per year for the subscription and to utilize ClearGov every year from that point forward.
23,000.
Correct.
Okay.
And who sets that up?
So that's a great question. The gentleman, Tyler, has not written back to me.
Oh.
So I have to follow up with their next point of contact to see who is the point person for having set the quote up for us. They have not answered my question in terms of how it's implemented and how it's uploaded into our system. I don't have an answer yet there. He has not responded to my 2 emails now. So I'm going to be calling them to get more details, I guess.
My question is that, do we think we realistically have that $23,000 over the next few years to budget for this?
Hopefully in free cash. If not I would put it in the regular budget, just like we budget for police cars. That's what I would do. I think it's the best, way to do that. We buy Vadar every year. We buy services for our, printers. We purchase services in town. The library purchases
Oh,
services.
yeah,
I don't think there's,
I wasn't debating like how, it was more of a budget where it's at, if we think this is a reasonable financial request.
I think we will have as a town a better handle on the budget if in fact we have this software. I prefer to have it purchased through a vendor who supports others and is vetted rather than some software that gets written by, someone at the Collins Center that then as things turn over in the town offices, the software isn't able to be used anymore. So can't be found.
Mhm.
So I would rather have a vetted product.
So my take is, from a business perspective, to have things run more smoothly, it's penny wise and pound foolish kind of thing. I would rather see us have that going forward and having that part of it. The 23,000 in the scope of the entire budget to save continuity and something that may be more reliable for the town, I think it's worth the money.
To be able to predict costs.
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't
coming
disagree with
years.
either of you. It's more just how
I'm sure
tight
there
our
are
budget
people
is.
in town
and-
who say, oh, don't buy that.
No,
These are the short-sighted
No,
folks, in
I'm
my
not-
opinion.
I'm not,
Sorry.
I'm not arguing that fact of its usefulness at all. It's more just a tight finances question for putting that in every year for the next couple of years.
Should we not have Vadar?
No, that wasn't what I was saying at all. I'm not,
I mean, it's the same thing.
no, I agree that, but that, I mean, some of that is, yeah. I was just wanted to,
They have Excel. Why do we have the Vadar system? Why do we have the payroll system? You know, why aren't we handwriting our checks? I mean, I'm sorry.
no, I'm
I
not
thought we
disagreeing
needed
with
this
its necessity. I'm just
5 years ago.
arguing its financial feasibility is what I'm wondering.
I understand, but I think in the long run, we're gonna save money. I think it's gonna end up the errors and then not having the future data and then not having what it would allow us will cost us more in the long run.
Last year's error in Excel cost us 4 years of ClearGov software.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. I'm not arguing that.
Wow.
Oh, then what are you arguing?
I was just
I
saying
don't
that,
think she's just making a point.
I'm just making a point that putting $23,000 a year right now in our budget, adding that number on when we have such a amount to come back from potentially, it's just another thing we're gonna have to take from somewhere else. If we add this
but
in, we
yeah,
have to
true.
take 23,000 from
Agreed.
somewhere else.
Agreed.
So we have
And
to,
we will.
But this is better for the town.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that those discussions will come.
every time we say we're spending this, we just have to say,
Yep.
where is it coming from? So as long as we all understand that 23,000, that's coming
Free
somewhere else.
cash.
Recurring expenses.
Or wherever at that time. But
Okay, yep, yep,
it's,
yeah, no, go ahead. I just had to make sure we
we have to
understood.
have pluses and minuses.
So that's gonna be a-
Okay,
I think
Pros
we
and cons.
understand.
Yeah,
I'll be your time miser, sorry to jump in.
Yeah,
just
go
to
ahead. Keep, I didn't mean to make a big deal of this one.
and I'll just put this out now. My question throughout, and I already asked Karen, and I'm not sure because I'm not an attorney and I don't know the answer. But this is the town of Townsend's warrant article. And when there's a submission, I'm not sure why we have to say Townsend before select board. Or Townsend before the Board of Health, or Townsend before the town clerk. In simplifying things or making it straightforward. So I just point that out there as something that caught my eye, if you will. And I honestly can't remember what the last warrant looked like. Was that
it's
like
on
that
the-
before?
So
Well,
this,
anyway.
I copied this warrant from one that Ross and Eric had done way back in the day, because after discussion, I was informed that perhaps Nelson had not followed the proper format.
Surprise. Not. Article 2?
I don't have to read it if you don't.
Yeah, I
want me
can. So this one is to vote and appropriate $4,750 for professional actuarial services to conduct a retiree health insurance liability study for the town. I had a very nice call with folks from KMS Actuaries. They said they had, done this a few times for us in the past, as long ago as 2011, and then had revisited it, but not actually carried the study forward. The process would be, we vote to take action on this, and then we go back to them and they say, all right, we're gonna get us like a census data pool from basically your source of employees in town. How many people are group 1, which would be like myself. Group 4 would be your public safety, first responders, because they retire at different age buckets. And they would bring back a study that shows what the health insurance liability would be at 70%, on the town versus 30% on the former, now retired employee, or a 50-50 split. It's actually a pretty nice report. We are one of less than 5 towns in Massachusetts that do not offer this to their employees. It's something that, every penny counts. I think having an active study for, this special town meeting warrant article would be a good tool for the town. And I was really glad that it wasn't, I was thinking $9,500. That was my ballpark number, and she came in much lower, so.
Sounds good to me.
We good with that one?
Absolutely.
Okay. Article 3?
Article 3, and I know there's some questions on the wording, but the purpose is a stabilization fund for legal services provided by town council. Important to note, this is not funds for any settlement or anything of that nature. This is just the costs of
Legal services?
legal services. It's not to, broker a deal with, Kieran. It's to have Kieran's attorney work for the town and making sure there's enough funds set aside for that expense.
This is an article similar to one that was set up at I believe, the special town meeting of the annual town meeting in 2019.
But there isn't an existing stabilization fund.
No. So there is a question as to whether this is one of those funds that the town sets up at special town meeting. That there's a question about the statutory authority that's been used to do that. But in any event, it is a similar ask to the one that was in the Article 2 of the special town meeting in May 7th, 2019, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds in the treasury the sum of $50,000. This says for the purpose of supplementing the fiscal year 19 legal budget. And it was motioned to come from free cash, and it passed with a majority vote. The thing is, those funds did get put into one of those special town meeting funds.
They didn't just get put to supplement the budget though? So they didn't get
No,
put
it
into the
did not.
general?
It went into a separate account, as far as I can tell.
And is it
And
gone, or is it still? in
We
that separate
used the
account?
last 10,000 for legal counsel this past fall. There was 10,000 left in there. And we used it to pay for legal fees for the negotiations with the union after the failed override, and for negotiations with the police union. So that's what it was used for. It wasn't our regular everyday town council funds, but it was town council. So
So it looks like in all those years, so from 19 to 25, it was depleted and basically for union negotiations.
I can't say. I know that what was left in it at the beginning
A
of
portion of it went
this
towards
fiscal
union.
year went to that. I don't know how it was used in the prior years.
We do have union obligations coming up for negotiations
Right.
this coming year, so not a bad practice.
Okay. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, I think you'll see Adam share a bit more, our town council, Adam,
Yeah.
share more context to this
Mhm.
in case there's an audience question. So,
Mhm.
Or
Or the verbiage may be amended.
it could be amended on the floor.
On town, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Article 4 is to see if the town will vote to appropriate $53,500 to fund a one-year collective bargaining agreement with the town's bargaining unit, AFSCME Council 93 Local 3470 for fiscal year 26, utilizing the American Rescue Plan ARPA funds to fund that one-year deal, if you will.
With the police bargaining union.
With the police bargaining unit, yes.
this is the back pay for.
This
FY
is-
26.
Because there was
This
no
is
contract.
The 4% for FY 26. Yeah.
And just to clarify, we don't need town meeting to vote to authorize ARPA funds. We're doing this because it's part of the entire collective bargaining agreement.
Correct. Usually the contracts are approved through or ratified by the town through the budgeting process in annual town meeting. This one's a little bit different. Coming forward to the town a little bit different. And because it's outside of the annual town meeting budget. This is how it's
Yeah, the
going
annual
forward.
timing is just different this year because of the way things shook out. Article 5 is contingent upon Article 4 passing, and this is to raise and appropriate $327,000 for the town's police bargaining unit, the same Council 93, Local 3470, for fiscal year 2027. to utilize a Proposition 2.5 override to cover said wages within the agreement for the police.
And again, this is, the select board presentation and not the police department.
Correct. So you may see that the police get up and present.
Speak to it.
Yeah, I hope they do. I won't put that pressure on them completely, but I think it would help people understand.
And this would result in a proposition override
On the ballot.
ballot question on the April ballot for the $327,000.
Okay. Article 6?
This is for the select board to enter into a new 50-year lease agreement with the Townsend
Do you want to-
Ashby Youth Soccer Association.
Yeah, we voted on this.
So you have voted on this?
Yeah.
To put it on the warrant. We voted to put it on the
Mhm.
warrant.
To put it on the warrant. So this would just be to enter into that lease agreement with the soccer folks.
I have a question on this because I saw Adam's comment. Was he good with this in the end?
Mhm.
You looked at the existing lease.
Mhm. Articles.
Can I just say one thing? And maybe the soccer association will say it or we will at town meeting, but this will allow the soccer association to apply for grants
Right.
that they can't now get because they don't have a long-term lease on the field.
I would hope they would speak to that.
I hope so, yeah, I think.
There might be a couple presentations or sort of context offered to this in case there's questions. I've sat in on a couple of the meetings and hope I get the chance to sort of speak on a few of them. So.
Okay.
Article 7 is a Board of Health, almost a renaming and also a way that their fines and penalties are collected and them going into their revolving fund bucket so they can use them for their expenses. Currently, the fees and penalties go into the general fund bucket. So really, it's just more of a cleanup. There will be an annual town meeting subsequent article to this to close out that old account and move forward. So it's truly in the, revolving fund account was the way it was explained today.
Okay, I have a question on this one. And this, we don't have to debate this now, but it's something that I would like you to get an answer for. The recycling center was supposed to be self-funding.
Mhm.
This changes that, if I'm reading this correctly. It means that the recycling center could also be funded by fees from the Board of Health. Because one of the uses of this is recycling center operations. And just like the recreation department, their programs are self-funding through the fees that they collect from the people participating in the programs. I thought the recycling center was also self-funding by fees collected from the, people disposing of things at the recycling center.
And is that
And-
salaries as well for the recycling center? Is that for the salaries as well?
Yes.
For the recycling center?
Yeah, I
So
can ask.
that changes. If how I'm reading this is the way it operates, that changes that dynamic.
So essentially, are you using fines and penalties to cover the costs of your daily?
Use of the recycling center. How is the recycling center still self-funded? Because to me, that makes a
All
difference.
grouped together and stuff.
It also lowers the amount by having the fees go into this instead of into the general fund. It means that the amount of free cash that we get at the end of the year that we depend on for snow and ice, et cetera, is less. Now, I don't know how much money that is. Is it 1,000 less? Is it 10,000 less? It is 100,000 less. I don't know.
Yeah,
But it's just
believe
two
it's not
considerations.
it's probably a nominal amount, but it's more just understanding that, to me, is how you're gonna use those funds. Are you using it to cover the cost of Kieran being there working on the day? You're waiting on a fine so you can pay Kieran? Like, yeah, how's that sort of shaking out?
So those are the two questions that I have. I just want to know how this works, and I think it would be good if the Board of Health could explain it and how this impacts the general fund and the operations of the recycling center, the funding of the operations of the recycling.
Yeah, it's twofold our questions. It's, how are you using your fines and penalties? Are you using that to pay for the recycling center wages? And will you stand up at town meeting and perhaps share with us for a few minutes why this is necessary and what it means to your group?
They should. Okay.
Article 9 is from our town clerk's office. I am not a technical wizard as town council, and our town clerks are in regards to sort of how all these components work. Really, it's clearly defining the general powers and duties of the town clerk's office in this first article from the town clerk.
It would be a bylaw.
Bylaw, yeah. So it's just really, rather than have it just be a catch-all for a lot of the responsibilities, this significantly highlights them along the way.
But
Is this in our charter?
The roles and responsibilities are set up in charter
At the state.
and mass general law.
Mass general law is what has been used for the town clerk's office.
And there is a section in the charter also.
There is.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
a
there
vague
is.
section. There's not a lot behind it, so I can certainly understand the town clerk's desire to more formalize them, almost like the TA role is pretty formalized in terms of the responsibilities and, things like that.
Doesn't it reference chapter 38
It does.
of Mass General Law?
So
Recollection, it does,
38-2 has A, B. The B in here, the records access officer is the thing I'm looking at, and I know that apparently someone thinks that I have commanded this not to be put on this warrant. I watched the recording, and that isn't the case, but in
Right.
any event, that's what's floating around out there. The thing is, the records access officer by Mass General Law is to be assigned by the executive office of the town. This moves it to the town clerk, who is an elected official. That means that there is no authority for the executive office around records. It means that if a fee needs to be paid, it can be waived with no input from this board. It means that if a request comes in and the town clerk, who is not an expert in all the departments, decides to respond to it, and perhaps if there's a lawsuit against the town, the response could be ill-considered if no check-in is made with the executive office. So I have a concern about that one. It is not a command not to put it in the warrant. It is a concern about that designation.
And I think council will have some things to say about this also.
Yeah, he has concerns as well.
So that's all I have to say about that.
So
This is an elected
this
position.
can be, yeah,
And to have someone, this came in from the town clerk, right?
yeah.
So to have the elected person decide that they want to assign to themselves more authority than what they might otherwise have, in my book, is something that needs to be considered by the people voting on this.
Well,
That's
all
all.
of this can be discussed and questioned on the town meeting
It
floor.
can.
Yeah.
It can be amended, it can be voted down, voted up,
Tabled.
whatever.
Yep.
So it isn't quite as simple, and we'll have town council to speak to it as well, right?
Yeah, he's going to join us that night. And, I think it's just a best practice for the residents to get to participate in the discussion and share with us
And get all the
Absolutely.
how they're
information.
feeling.
I agree.
So I think, it's tricky. So I think you want to have your residents really get geared up and be informed and participate in the discussion. So I'm going to jump down. I know there's a lot of text there. Now we're down to Article 10. This is to see if the town will vote and appropriate $20,000 from free cash to replenish an account, or I guess a fund that was set up back in May 7th of 2024 for annual town meetings. This is for covering the costs of running elections by using free cash to fund said town meetings.
This is the same thing as the one that was set up for the legal budget. It is the same thing. So how does this work? And Adam didn't flag this?
Well, he has a comment.
He does have a comment.
I didn't know you could quote unquote replenish things that were set up like this.
He did not make any changes to the town clerk's submissions because they are the town clerk's submissions. He
We'll have advice
Oh,
and
he
opinion.
refers to that.
Yeah.
Veronica refers to
within
the
his
7th,
notes, yeah.
2024.
But yeah, he will have things to share on the town meeting floor. I think those are great questions to ask. You're allowed to, you guys are residents, first and foremost. You're also part of the elected board, so you could ask, Adam, could you just share more about this and what it means to the town based on historical things that have happened in the past? I know it's kind of benign, but that's how I would engage town council on the floor in the event you had a question or a concern about an article. Personally, again, just thinking, I'm being savvy on our 13 more minutes here before we have to close up shop. We do have free cash. I sent out the certification, so our friends listening at home, it's $558,000. Every penny is going to come this year.
So what
Like,
I'm
I'm
doing
just-
is so we're up to 62,000 on this warrant right now
From free cash.
from free cash. If everything
This year,
passes,
yeah.
just from this meeting.
And we've pre-spent a few dollars based on snow and ice, and if we get a
Yeah, right.
Well, and I'm
silly
not,
storm again tomorrow,
And
we're
are
gonna
we-
go right back to the well. So,
and I'm not sure where the 50,000 if we add in the 50,000 for legal, that would be over 100. That's 112,000.
Well, actuarial, there
Oh,
are,
yeah.
well, it's not written free cash for the actuarial. There's another,
117.
yeah, how you spent it or how you find the source of the money will be in the motion. So we have a
Yeah,
little bit of
that's how we
time.
get
for it.
there. Mhm.
So, sale of property,
Yeah,
free
there's a
cash.
couple things, right.
We've got a couple of vehicles.
If we used all free cash for this, it's about 120,000.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it needs to be.
I'm just raising that for our knowledge.
Yeah, okay.
Article 11 is replacing all the references, because I am very, very guilty of this, from Board of Selectmen with Select Board, 2 words.
2 words.
And references Selectmen with Select Board, 2 words, because that is
We need an article for that?
we do.
Well, here's the question. The town E-code is who typically does that, and they charge a fee for doing that. And I know that in the budget, there is some E-code money
Mhm,
in the town clerk's budget.
correct.
So this is not just Sabrina sitting down and editing to
Oh.
change Board of Selectmen to Select Board. It's one of the things, it was an article that the Bylaw Review Committee had put on for 15,000. I think it was annual town meeting of 2023 for 15,000. E-code was gonna
Mhm.
take care of all these things and make sure that everything was as it should be, and the town voted it down.
Mhm.
So there is money associated with doing this. And I don't see it reflected in the article. Just saying,
Yeah.
that's all.
It might be another, I can give some of that feedback to our town clerk's office to see if they might be able to provide us a fee estimate, because that could be part of the motion on the floor, or it could be amended. Is there a fee estimate from E-code for this type of thing?
And if they're doing that, should they do the things to make sure that all of our references are correct?
All line up.
That everything that was what the
It's
money
wildly
was
inconsistent being in there
asked for.
sometimes, looking for stuff.
So anyway,
I'm gonna have to put a space in my signature. It says select board 1 word.
Article 12 is, again, cleaning up some words. This might be, again, our E-code friends.
It is.
And our town clerk, Adam did say, he goes, this is just, good clerical processes, so.
As long as it doesn't cost a lot of money, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It's something that should be done every so
Yeah.
ever
So,
many
like kicking
years.
the tire. There is an error on this page 5, because I am not a wizard, and I left it as select men of Townsend. It should be select board of Townsend. So I didn't know where that was. Lori and I were emailing. I was like, Lori, where is it? And I couldn't find it. And she's like, Kieran's an idiot, and I deservedly took that on the chin.
signatures.
And I just sort of spaced along, and
We won't take it
No.
personally.
Oh, I may have printed 2 by accident. Maybe yeah, that's all
But if
right.
somebody else wants,
Oh yeah, there's a track changes version there
with the
too.
track.
I have track changes.
Yeah, you guys are great.
I
Okay.
did read through them on my thing.
Yeah.
That took me a
So,
while.
yeah, that said,
You guys are better than me.
Nah, it's different.
really it's for next steps, in about 9 minutes here, we could debate more. You could say, we're not ready to sign this. You could sign tomorrow night. Tomorrow night would be a really quick signing if you needed it to be. You could also sign out a session pending my page 5 edit of selectmen and the select board. And you could, I could make that change, email it to you, and you could make a motion subject to that change by the town administrator. Or you could wait till
All right, and
If you
you'll
wanna see
have,
it
I
once
think
more.
we should make go ahead.
no, go ahead.
tomorrow.
Go
I
ahead.
think we should make a motion to sign out of session pending the correction.
Yeah, the page 5 correction.
I would accept that motion. Is there a second? And who was that, please?
Veronica Kelly.
You want to be specific in that motion, or no, just go with it?
I move that we sign the warrants for the special town meeting out of session with the correction on page 5 that will be made
Board as presented
as presented.
with the correction on page 5.
For February 25th.
And there's nothing else we asked for before that?
Not that I can think of, but
Okay,
There was a lot of stuff flying around
I
probably.
think everything that's on here can be posted.
okay,
then you
and then
make-
amend it.
You amend the motion.
yeah,
With the motions are what you make. These are the articles,
Right.
and these are all the things we're gonna talk about.
Right,
It's just that it may be, or take any other action relative thereto. So
Okay.
therefore, we're covered.
Okay. Seconded.
what's your name?
Valerie Goodrich, seconded.
is there any further discussion? No. Roll call vote,
Veronica Callahan.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, team.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So, we will be, recessing to the high school. And I will just mention before you move to recess that, I'll be staying behind for planning board.
Yeah, I think that's great. Our
Okay.
planning board liaison is not feeling great today, so I think it's
The
wonderful.
staff
Lori.
person is
Yeah.
not feeling well. The
So-
liaison
Oh, we
is
have,
here.
yeah. So you know.
Okay.
That said, I checked with the 2 other TAs from Ashby and Pepperell. They are not going to present tonight, anything. They are gonna sit and listen.
Hmm.
So I am not gonna present anything. I will be available for questions. I'm gonna go with you guys and sit there. But they are not gonna say a peep unless called upon, or it's a really specific question to their town's budget topic.
Okay, cool. So we are recessing at 5:40 PM. Do I need a motion to recess?
I'll
And
make a
then you'll
motion.
have to reconvene for me.
Who are you?
I, Valerie Goodrich, make a motion to recess at 5:40 PM.
Veronica Callahan.
Okay, any discussion? Only that I ask you to call the resuming of that joint meeting.
And I
for
will
me.
take those meeting minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Is
Thank
the
you.
meeting live for those? It's on.
Yes.
cable
There's a
access, so,
Zoom
yeah, folks can watch.
link.
Zoom,
Yeah,
I'm not sure
there
it's
is a-
cable, but it's on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a Zoom access and it is posted on our website, Townsend's website.
Awesome.
Both links for this one and the other one. Okay, Thank you very much, everyone. We have recessed at 5:40 PM.
TCAM, good to go?
The recording has stopped.
Okay, so we're back. So, I'm, all right. So people are leaving. Well, don't forget, you got to come back because at 6 o'clock, I got to find something to talk about for the next 20 minutes. But before we go too far, I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to take down the select board meeting and I'm going to pull up. Let's see what I can do here. I gotta find, I'm gonna get the link set up. Oh, what am I doing? I've got all these tabs open. Oh, here's the select board. Okay, let's see. Copy. Get all these things I gotta do here. See if this is going to work. All right, whatever. Do I want to do it this way? I guess I have to because it's a webinar and not. Okay, I apologize for talking to myself. Wait a minute. All right, I do need that. Oh, okay, we'll get it right. We'll get it right. Wrong window. I don't know why. Looks good. Oh yes, the school does things a little different when it comes to Zoom. It's not an open Zoom meeting where people can talk. It's a webinar, so without prior knowledge, they will not entertain people who want to talk. There's no public comment unless you registered already, I guess. I don't know. Yep. So we have 15 minutes. Well, let's see. What else can we do? Oh, I need to. Oh. I'm going to pull it up. I'll let you see what I see, okay? That's all I see. But we don't need to do that. We can just leave it for this right now. Let's see. All right, so they went over the warrant articles. I have issues. I have to go back through them on this video and make certain notes. I know that there's some bad information going around on some of the numbers, the financial numbers, and I gotta have to put some things together to be clear on what's going on, which hopefully I will have them before I do my full warrant article video, or at least at town meeting floor, we're going to have some conversations. Like they had said, we have $558,000 in free cash, and like what I say, and I don't know why they don't agree with this, but $400,000 is needed to balance snow and ice. And winter, if they're trying, I think they're trying to do with the stunt they pulled last year, and that is to declare winter over. They declared winter over in March last year. They want to declare winter over in February this year. And then go, oh no, we don't have enough money now. We spent our free cash. We're going to have to do some other stupid crap that they shouldn't be allowed to do. We need to stop them in their tracks. They should allocate, they should not overspend free cash now. There's some things that they want to buy, and I'm all in on a couple of things that are going in there. But I would not like to see them spend more than $100,000 on free cash at this special town meeting. I think it's too dangerous. I don't want them to overspend and start this crap they did last year with borrowing from the following year because, oh my God, we spent too much money. I don't want to see it. It's unnecessary, and it's deceptive, and it's a plot. It really is. They're conspiring to spend more, to deficit spend other accounts, and that's exactly what they're doing, and they should be reported, actually, if they keep doing this. This is piss poor management, and they should just be disciplined and not spend the money that exceeds $100,000. I think they could safely get away with spending $100,000 of the free cash money on the 25th, but not one penny more. Any of those articles that exceed that number, they need to put off for the annual. I really have to say this. It's Veronica likes to spend free cash on ongoing budget items, and it's wrong to do that. These things need to be budgeted in regular budget. Free cash is for one-time expenses. And it's just bad. So, and if you recall, for those of you that were watching the whole thing, I don't know if you're coming back or you're just joining us, but they're an override. They only have one. Okay, all right. I heard a rumor that there was more than one override. I guess I was told wrong, or the rumor was wrong. One of the two. But there's an override on this warrant article for 300 and some odd thousand. I can't remember how much exactly, but it's for to pay back pay to the police department, 4% raise for this year. They just finished negotiating their contract and they gave them a 4% raise, and now it's contingent on passing at town meeting. But they were granted their contract to go back to July 1st of this past fiscal year. So I think the townspeople might have some issues because, okay, we got Proposition 2.5. Why are we giving 4%? And I think that's a valid question. So if you feel that way, when we get to town meeting, ask that question. I'm letting it go. And the reason I'm a little in the gray area on this, but where there was, they negotiated. And I do not believe that there was a food fight at these negotiations. I believe that as far as, I think the select board agreed. There was labor council, there was the union reps, and some kind of justification on why that's a good number. And I'm going to agree that it was fairly negotiated. And I'm not going to say that I don't think we should give it to them. I don't know where the hell the money's coming from. Well, they want the money to come from an override, but I keep saying that, in fact, I'm not sure which year that's it for this year. That's for this year. Which they can't do that. I don't know how this is going to play out. I really don't know how this is going to play out. But I have questions now that I'm thinking about this. Because this is I guess we're not going to pay them the money for this year until next year. I have no idea how this is going to work. I have an errant here. What do you know? So, yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But they want the override in order to pay that salary. We definitely don't have the money otherwise. There's no money there otherwise. But I want to also say I have been yelling. I haven't really yelled, I don't think, but I have been advocating strongly that we need $1 million override to pay for everything. Not just that, but we need $1 million override just to keep the lights on. Who's texting me? Nobody. There's $1 million, we need $1 million override because we really have a deficit going into this next fiscal year, which is what all this fuss is about. So I'm concerned that this complicates things, but let's do it. I'm definitely in favor of it. I'm just concerned about it confusing you, the voters. So but I'm still in favor. We still need $1 million override. I really, 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 really want them to put it on the April election as a ballot question. There'll be 2 ballot questions. In fact, actually, there'll be 3 because this will require a ballot question in April for this override to pass. So we're going to have a ballot question for the 5-member board. The 5-member board of selectmen that you voted on at last town meeting, it has to get voted again on the election. And don't forget that. You got to vote yes on that. So they're going to be, if this article passes for the police raise, that will be a ballot question. Then there'll probably be another ballot question if I get my way for them to add another $1 million override just to keep the lights on in the town. Period. And I say that as a figure of speech, but also, we can't pay the electric bill. We're really broke, okay? We really are. And that's before they figure out what the lawsuit's going to cost. That we don't have any money for that either. And that's going to, I don't know if that is going to rear its ugly head financially for us before our annual town meeting or not. But it's going to be messy. But without regard to that, we need $1 million override that's not on this town meeting warrant for February, but it should be. Please put it on there for May. And vote for yes. Despite how bad it sounds, it's just not, this is just to keep things, and it's not, I can complain all year long about bad decisions by the select board. I can do that every week and be right, but the place we're at is not because, they screwed this up, now we got to pay $1 million. No, that's for another day. But that is not what I'm saying. And it's where our shortfall, our deficit is not because of bad business in town hall. They could have done this, that, little things here and there. Maybe they could have done a little better. And I'll go along. But the point of the override is not because of a little bad decision over here. Gee, they wasted money over there. We're talking $1 million. We're not talking about $50 there, $100 there, or we're just not. Even one position. I know that there's been debate in the community about why do we have these positions, and that won't touch the $1 million. Okay? Those decisions, we can debate those whenever we want. But the $1 million override that I want to see the town ask for is not the fault of anyone. It's really basic inflation on the cost that we have to spend. I'm watching the time. What time is it? Okay. That the costs we incur every day are going up. Health insurance is going up over 10% for our employees. And That's the lowest negotiated price we can get. And it's through Maya, which they cover, a lot of town, half the state, okay? And it's a group policy, and I think the employees are okay with it. But, what else? Well, the cost of elections, that goes up. We no longer have a constable, we're hiring police officers to provide security for that. That's gone up considerably, more than that's more than 100%. Right, that's a bad policy decision that I believe, but it's not, that doesn't make or break the $1 million shortage. The, what else has gone up? Oh, snow and ice. I mean, the cost of picking up the snow and putting, treating the roads for ice, that's gone up significantly over the last couple of years. What else? Oh, we need, the schools are asking for just under 5% increase for us. And that's that's what I'm going to refer to as level funding. We need to give that's what our assessment is. And they can't keep that at 2% because the cost of providing an education. And I have to say also, I stand up for North Middlesex strongly that they need the money. I'm not kidding. I really strongly support their asks because our per student spending is below state average. And that means to me that what that tells me is we're harming our children. We're not just, getting cheap with it. We're not giving them, they don't have access to the same education as their counterparts in other towns. We're hurting them. And we absolutely need to spend some money. What else? Oh, we contract services through the Neshoba Board of Health and a lot of things that if we dumped Neshoba Board of Health, we'd have to hire people, and it would cost us a lot more in order to do the same thing. But we pool resources with the members in the Neshoba Board of Health. Other towns that are in there, we all chip in, and the staffing for doing a lot of the services that we are required by law to provide and to residents. The cost of that is going up 30%, from 54,000 to 70,000. 30%. So that's not 2.5, and we can't say you can only raise it 2.5 because there's so much that's combined with that. And whenever there's people involved, employees anywhere, everybody's insurance is going up over 10%. Everybody's, and I don't think there's anybody on here that can tell me that maybe there's one or two of you probably, but that your health insurance didn't go up this year by more than 2.5%. Your health insurance probably went up 10% or more. I don't remember what mine went up. I just pay it. I like my insurance, and I can't do anything about it. So, anyway. So these are costs that we have to deal with. Yeah, I think that's current budget. Yeah, our current budget, basically, my note to myself here is that our current budget is unsustainable. We have to reset our budget, and it needs to be done with an override of $1 million. But the special town meeting warrant is only going to have an override of 300 and something thousand, and that's only covering a wage increase for the police. The other unions, hopefully they'll have everything set for the annual town meeting by the time we get there. But anyway, I'm going to stop yelling about my $1 million override ask. I know finances are tough, but boy, people are coming in. You want to see the school budget, don't you? And you don't want to zoom in. I don't blame you. Let's see what's going on. We still only have that one guy. I guess they're going to wait until it's 6 o'clock on the nose on my computer. I was almost late for my meeting tonight because my kitchen clock was off by a couple minutes. Anyway, there's a lot going on around us. Oh, remember Enrique Delgado, the state trooper who was killed at the academy? If you haven't heard today, the Attorney General's office released the report on his death, and they have charged 4 troopers with involuntary manslaughter. 1 trooper's been charged with perjury, and it's really, I was startled when I heard that. I may do a separate video on this sometime. I would like to. I don't know if I have time, but they, I was expecting this whole thing, this waste of time, doing this inquiry, and it's just going to come back with the same crap. They're just going to say it was an accident, and that's the end of it. And I'm really happy that somebody is going to hold somebody else accountable. Somebody needed to be held accountable for this. And 4 troopers at the academy have been charged today with involuntary manslaughter, and the leader, or sergeant, I forgot her name, is charged with perjury on top of it because she lied in statements that she made regarding what happened. So that was, I don't know if there should be a video. I think I couldn't find one, but all the news channels probably have it as well. Howie Carr also dug up, oh, we're going to be starting, Jesus. Uh-oh, they got open mics in there.
Feedback. Everyone, if you've got advice on, make sure you get it muted.
People have their mics on their computer.
Your output to your receivers.
Mute.
Very much.
Mute. It's mute this microphone.
Test.
We just see it. Kim. So Kim is wrong. Okay, Kim is wrong, Kim is wrong. Okay, and Carla is? And then we do have, some representatives from the area towns. Okay. What we can do is just announce when they want to speak, or if they want to speak, and they can raise their hand, and we'll give them permission to talk. All right. Everyone ready? Welcome to the North Middlesex Regional School District School Committee meeting of February 9th, 2026. It is 6:04 p.m. And present, we have Alexander Bancuti. Yes. Randy Rush. Here. Lisa Bloom. Here. Keenan Francois.
Here.
Jackie White. Here. Michael Boissier.
Here.
And remotely, we have joining Kim Craven.
I'm here.
And Carla Lima.
I'm here.
And also present, we have Brad Morgan.
Here.
Nancy Haynes. Here. Kevin Comier. Robin Ivy. Jeremy Hammond. In attendance, we have boards from other towns. Do any of you want to call your boards? Townsend? Ashby, do you want to call your board president? Okay, okay.
We have quorum, so.
Okay.
This is Veronica Cal. I will call the select board for Townsend to order at 6:06 p.m. And there's Veronica Cal.
Does Pepperell have a quorum? Okay.
right, may I have a motion to, for the public hearing? And I can read the motion. Open the public hearing on school choice for the year 2026-27, according to Chapter 72, Section 12B of Massachusetts General Laws. All interested persons shall be given the opportunity to voice their concerns.
So moved.
Second. Keenan and Michael. And that was at 6:06 or 6:07. And then we take a roll call vote. Keenan Francois,
Yes.
Randy Rush,
Yes.
Michael LaBossiere,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
Alexander Ben-Cudi,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom.
Yeah.
Remotely, Kim Craven,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Carla Lima.
Yes.
Right. And this is to open the hearing for the school choice. Superintendent Morgan.
Thank you. I would recommend, if possible, that we not vote at this point in time on school choice. And again, looking to see if we can wait additional information, probably within the next, I would say by the April meeting, to see if we can determine what seats we actually have open and what enrollment looks like K-12 across the district.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions?
Is there any way that you can limit school choice? I know our regional district in the area has said they've limited it for capacity. So I don't know if that's consideration in your vote or not to limit the seats.
So we can limit school choice. The issue is that if we vote no, if we vote yes on school choice, then we can't reverse that. If we vote no, then we can reverse it later on in the calendar year and accept more students in. So we can actually limit it by grade level and by school.
So that would be a no vote and then you would come back to it, or a yes vote would give you a limitation?
So a yes vote would be on the number of seats that we have available. And at that point in time, if there was a significant shift in enrollment over the course of the summer, we can't go back on that. We still have to allow the school choice students in. So essentially, if you vote yes, you can't go back on that. If you vote no, then you can vote yes later on down the line if you want to. But at this point, our rationale is with programs moving and with some of the unknowns that we still have, we want to wait to see what we actually have for class sizes at each grade level before we say yes or no. If there is availability, then it is something that we would like to explore.
Hang on one second, Randy. When you guys are speaking out in the audience, will you come up to the podium so that we get the recording?
Okay.
So I'm just gonna
And
make
can I just
that.
ask, if you come up to the podium, we'll just need you to sign in. There's a sign-in sheet for public comment. Thank you.
All right, Randy.
I'm just curious, so we're thinking about doing the school choice program. We have opted out of it for the last few years.
So I think that in looking at it, class size has been an issue for the district for the past couple of years. So we want to be sure that if we say yes to school choice, and generally speaking, it's usually a decision that we've made in the past, right around the March time. If we make it now, we don't have a clear picture of what class sizes are going to look like until we decide on what we're doing with the special education programs. Once those programs move, we'll have a better understanding as to what we have for space. What I don't want to do is further exacerbate any class size issues that we currently have. But if we do have some spaces available in particular grade levels of particular schools, then it's something we can certainly explore.
Yeah, no, I support waiting and making sure that we make those decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the members present?
This might be a silly question.
Jackie, go ahead.
So why was it on our agenda for tonight?
Because it's a public hearing and we have to put it out to the public so that they can come forward and talk about it to us.
But they can do that at future meetings too, like if we decide not to vote tonight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a state law.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was my question to Brett earlier, why are we doing this? And so. Any other questions? Kim or Carla, do you have any questions?
No.
I do not.
I'm not hearing from anyone.
I said no.
Okay. All right.
No as
Can
well.
I take a motion to close the public hearing for school choice?
So moved.
That was Keenan,
Seconded.
and we're closing at 6:11. Motion by Keenan, second by Michael. Roll call vote, Keenan, Francois,
Yes.
Randy Rush,
Yes.
Michael LaBlassiere,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
Alexander Bancuti,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Kim Craven,
Yes.
Said yes. I'm trying to hear it. There's a audio conflict in resolving.
and Carla Lima,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Moving on to the public hearing for the budget. I make a motion to open the public hearing for the FY 27 proposed budget. Do I have the motion?
So
It's Michael,
Second.
Jackie, and we're opening at 6:12. All right, roll call vote. Keenan Francois,
Yes.
Randy Rush,
Yes.
Michael LaBlassiere,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
Alexander Bancuti,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
and Kim Craven,
Yes. Yes, Lisa.
Carla Lima,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, I will invite the. All right. Sorry. All right, I'm inviting the superintendent and the business manager for the show.
Okay, thank you. So as many of you know, we actually began, as we have for the past several years, budget summits back in September. And this year we held 5. We held one every month through January. We asked the school department budgets to have their budgets in on the 25th of November. And again, had to wait for the governor's budget proposal, which came out on January 28th, which brings us here this evening for the public hearing. The next step will be the budget adoption on March 10th, and then school committee meetings after that. Town meetings, sorry. Jeremy, you can go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, wait, slides.
Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna turn this way.
Audio. Hold on.
We might have trouble.
I'll talk about it.
Yeah, I know you do.
This is how it works. Robin, am I coming out clear enough?
Yes.
For volume, okay. Okay, we can go to the next slide.
Hold on.
Okay, there we go. So an ongoing challenge that we face are the budget drivers. We just skipped ahead.
Skip ahead that.
We have to go to the budget timeline, slide 3. You'll get to wait until it's up. Yeah, we have to go back to slide 3.
It's, is it?
Oh, okay.
So they can see that.
Okay. So again, some of the challenges that we face, the staffing drivers that impact the budget is that we do have new students, federal and state mandates, an influx of pre-K students who are in special education, an increase in the special education population, the district placement, transportation, and social emotional student needs, as well as multilingual needs. This has led the district to respond by hiring additional counseling staff to support students, hiring English language and multilingual teachers per DESE mandate, hiring additional special education teachers, paraprofessionals, behavior technicians, and service providers to support our students and maintain compliance with individualized education plans, again, which are both mandated at the federal and state level. The result is an increase in mandated staff, leaving North Middlesex with very little room to make any improvements in the general education area with regard to content teachers, because we're essentially making cuts to content areas because we have to continue to hire in special education, multilingual, and so on. Next slide. Per pupil cost, as you can see, that the cost to educate a student in North Middlesex right now is just over $20,500. We are still just over $2,500 below the state average, and that gap increased by $1,064 over 2023. So our per pupil cost is still not where it needs to be. If it were, we would be in a much better situation. You can go to the next slide, please. The overall budget, FY27 represents a 3.06 increase over FY27. So essentially, in looking at this, we weren't able to get to what all of the towns wanted. Right now, we were asked by the towns to come in at a 3% assessment, and both Ashby and Townsend are below that 3% assessment. Unfortunately, Pepperell is not. And that is an increase, this budget is an increase of 3.85 FTEs over 2026. And go to the next slide, please. So other budgeted 2027 funds, excess and deficiency, we're using $2 million from that to help support this budget. And then looking at school choice, $327,000, circuit breaker, $2,900,000, food service, $905,552, athletic revolving, $193,000, preschool revolving, $160,527. It's important to note in that we do have some staffing coming out of it, and then tuition revolving, $103,864. We have 3 paraprofessionals coming out of that line. We'll go to the next one. The breakdown overall, that 3.06% increase, salary and contractual obligations and benefits, I cover almost all of it at 2.81%. And then you can see the rest, which are much smaller amounts. But again, that increase, most of it is found in benefits, our health insurance benefits, and also our salary lines. We were asked to look at what would we be looking at if we had an optimal budget, the budget that gave us everything that we needed. The difference from a 3.06 would be an additional 13 classroom teachers at just over $1 million. 3 would be going to Varnum Brook, 4 at Hawthorne Brook, 4 at Nissatisset, and 2 at the high school, an additional IT technician, an additional high school secretary, a shared assistant principal between Spalding and Squanicook, complete technology projects that were cut in FY26, restore curricular program cuts, and then restore virtual high school as well. So that would be the optimal budget. At this point in time, it is over 2% higher than what our current ask is. The impact would be an additional investment of $1,551,500 would provide schools with the resources to make up ground from recent cuts. This would require an override vote. With these additional resources, the district would address class size issues at all 3 levels with 13 new teachers, address the increased workload of the technology department with an additional technician, address administrative building coverage at Spalding and Squanicook to meet the needs of students and staff, restore curriculum access and support for students and staff, and then address technology needs at multiple buildings. Nancy,
Sure. So the next slide is our historical foundation enrollment, which was from 2018 through this recent October 2025. is generally a slow reduction. It's, in this particular case, it's only the last certain number of years that we're including, but essentially a rather level from 24 to 25, with the exception of Ashby, which had a slight reduction in enrollment. Next slide. The enrollment, student enrollment is listed here with the shifts for the different towns. Ashby had a decrease of 36 students, or minus 0.70%. Pepperell had a decrease of 52 students, but they gained enrollment overall 0.27, and Townsend had a decrease of 35 students. So our projected foundation enrollment as of October 1st was 2870 for total number of students. The shift in the percentages by town is listed here. So Ashby was in FY26 was 13% of the district, and now is 12.30%. Pepperell was 48.68 in 2026 and is now 48.95%. Townsend was 38.32 and now is 38.75. Slide. Each year we send our enrollment projections for October, as of October, to NSDEC, and they run historical projections. We actually have these by town as well, if anyone's interested in that. It gives us a 10-year projection out of what they foresee based on the enrollments. This does not take into account, for example, large projects that may not have started yet, which I know there's been discussions about Pepperell having a project. They don't include those kind of changes until the projects are underway. So as you can see, it's rather level, but slightly down over the next 10 years, according to their projection. We did project revenue this year. We have the governor's proposal. We've made a few slight changes to that, which I'll walk through here. Chapter 78, looking at the FY27 column, and the Chapter 71 and the charter are just about what the governor's proposal is, but with the exception of Chapter 71, we did include McKinney-Vento reimbursement of $150,000 there. We also, the governor's proposal included 87% reimbursement for those students greater than 1.5 miles, but we're not sure how the House and Senate will go with that. So we've actually reduced that to 85, just to be on the safe side at this point. We should have the House and Senate House numbers in a few weeks, I believe, and we can take a look at it at that point. So overall, from the 26 adopted budget to the 27 proposed revenue, we have an increase of 2.55% from state aid. The district revenue section, we discussed already using $2 million of E&D listed there. It also includes other sources of revenue that the district has, like Medicaid. We have investment income, and the school choice funding is 327, which is more than is in the governor's proposal, but we have more money in that fund. So we're just trying to slowly reduce the amount of the school choice to get closer to what we're actually bringing in for school choice revenue, leaving a slight increase of 4.44% on the district revenue side. The town assessments, the biggest issue I would say with this page, I mean, I'm not going to go through every line here, it's certainly available. We'll be putting this up on the website. So you can pull this up, but the biggest issue is that the minimum local contributions that the different towns are required, the required contribution ended up being a little bit off, where Pepperell, you can see Pepperell has a 6.59% increase. Ashby was 3.77 and Towns was 3.31. And these numbers are result, again, we were, as we were talking about the budget in the beginning of this process, we just used a 3%. And I think I mentioned that it's really hard to project what those numbers are going to be. And in fact, the municipal growth factor is one of the numbers that's factored into this, and that is not even available on the website yet, or maybe it is by today, but it wasn't as of the time of the governor's, if the Chapter 70 work was coming out. So that's a factor, and income in the towns and valuation of property. So that's the minimum local contribution that you see there, the very top section. Then certain portions of the budget are above that, which is true of many towns in the state where we're actually have, I would say most towns are paying above that minimum contribution, resulting in the operating assessment of the 3.53 average at the bottom. This page has a transportation assessment, which is really pretty good overall. It's a 1.17%. And again, that's because we're using a little bit more funding from the Kinney-Vento. And we also, this particular school year had a half less bus. So we have, those numbers are coming in a little bit lower. So overall, the bottom figure is the total assessment for operating and transportation. And you can see how it translated with the different towns. So enrollment plus the municipal growth factor affected the Townsend, where Ashby's at 0.33%, Pepperell's at 4.53%, and Townsend at 2.63. Just sharing the debt service for the reference. This has been updated with the latest ban that was, we had a ban for the accelerated repair projects as well as the high school project, and that has been incorporated into these numbers here. Excess and deficiency, most of you are aware we have a certified excess and deficiency of 3,549,313. If we were using 2 million, which is what's planned for this budget, that would leave a remaining of 1,549,313, and the percentage used towards the budget would be 56.35%. Next slide, Kevin.
So we also wanted to talk about just sort of what our projected enrollment is, because class size has been something that has been talked about in a lot of these meetings. So this is our 27 projected enrollment by grade level by building. And so we've worked with this to try and figure out sort of, again, the staffing needs. We've done a more holistic look at it because we know that there's going to be shifting of teachers between grade levels, but we don't know who those teachers are or which grade levels yet. We don't want to, put that out public without speaking to teachers. But we feel like we have a plan that addresses some of this. Next slide. So what we did here was compare, again, the town had asked us to come in at a 2.47%. So that's that first row. And all I did here for this table was take the projected number of students per grade level per section and divide it by the number of the classroom teachers. Because sometimes you see student teacher ratios that also include, they'll just divide by the total number of teachers in the building, but that would include specialists and other calculations that don't necessarily show the true what's happening in a classroom. So in this case, it was just strictly classroom teachers or content teachers at the middle school level. So you can see that when we're using that sort of 25 demarcation that comes up a lot. The town Ashby would be a significant number of our classrooms would average over a 25. So the middle columns are our request 3.06 budget. And you can see we've addressed some of that at the elementary level by budgeting in an extra kindergarten teacher at both Squanicook and Barnum Brook to bring those class sizes down again to sort of address some of the needs that we're seeing there. It still doesn't really touch the middle school though. And then what would happen if we get that optimal budget? You can see on the far right where that would make everything a lot more pleasing to the eyes of both the staff and students and buildings in general. But just to kind of give an idea of what it could have been. Now, all of this is sort of has the asterisk of this is with the current special education alignment. If we move steps to Townsend, some of these numbers might fluctuate a little bit, but it's still generally in the ballpark of where we. As for the high school enrollment, this is what we're looking at right now. So again, we're projected to lose a few more students, a little over a dozen for 2027. One of the sort of analyses I ran today, just again, trying to get as much information as we can. The last 4 years, the average attrition rate of 8th graders to 9th grade has been a little north of 30%. The prior 4 years, the average was 24%. So again, the idea of, how are we supporting our students? How are we able to use this budget to maintain some of those 8th to 9th transitions that we seem to be losing a little bit more over the last couple of years? Could help this number, but this is what we're looking at right now for 2027.
So just overall summary of the budget with by appropriation category. In the budget, we generally break into large sections: administration, instructional support, pupil services, operation maintenance, insurance, retirement, debt service, and out-of-district placements and assessments. And overall, as we discussed earlier, the budget was 3.06, which is 69,637,559 with this public hearing. Just over $2 million increase over FY26. I broke the appropriation categories in a different view this year, just to switch it up. And essentially just gives you a feel for where the total, the larger spending is in the budget. So obviously instructional support all the way on the right is the largest category. And you can, I'm not going to read out each one of these, but just to get a feel for where things fall. And again, teachers and staff, instructional support, retirement, insurance, program second. So that's pretty typical for a school district in general.
Yep. So again, in looking at the 3.06, we are still looking at some potential unknowns for our budget. First and foremost is that for special and regular transportation, special ed and regular transportation, we do not have a final number for FY27. We do have had route changes this year, as well as a half bus reduction in FY26, as well as some enrollment changes. So again, we do not have a final number on that as of yet. Special education is always a moving target when it comes to tuition. That's something that can change on a month-to-month basis. All decisions with regard to special education are team decisions that are made with a team from the school, as well as the caregivers of the student. So whether or not a student remains in district or goes out of the district often is at the discretion of the team. So that is something that we always try to keep a very close eye on, and we monitor it on a month-to-month basis. Retiree health insurance, the GIC, we do not have what that increase is going to be. We should have that on the 12th, so in a couple days. Some good news that we do have is that our Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance is coming in at this point, or I should say looking much lower than anticipated as far as what that increase looks like. We are still working on final numbers, but something that we are cognizant of is the fact that where GIC is likely going to experience a significant increase, we could see people that do not currently take our insurance shifting onto our insurance. So how big of a savings we actually have with health insurance really won't be determined until open enrollment, April-May, in the April-May timeframe. So that's just something that we have to be aware of with regard to health insurance. Staffing needs, again, looking at some specialized positions that have been very difficult to find qualified candidates. And also addressing some class size issues at specific grade levels primarily. Kindergarten this year has been a very difficult spot. It does not look as though those class sizes are going to be as high next year. At least that's not what we're projecting. And the large kindergarten class sizes next year should decrease in first grade because we have additional sections. 7th and 8th grade, we will certainly be dealing with large class sizes again, coming close to, if not going north of 30 in a class. So that's something that we do have to pay very close attention to. And we have some ideas to potentially deal with that. Enrollment. Actual enrollment is fluid. Again, it's very difficult to project kindergarten. We oftentimes do not have students registering until late August, no matter how often we ask people to register their students early. It does not always happen. Homeschool returns, move-ins, and DCF placements. Federal funding, federal grant funding is something, again, we're not entirely sure what that is going to look like moving forward. So that is something that we'll keep an eye on. Other insurances, liabilities, workers' compensation are pending final rates. State budget process, legislative budget process can impact estimates for transportation reimbursement, Chapter 70 and other funding. And then another thing that we're paying close attention to is that even though this increase, we're finding the 3.06 to be extremely responsible, next year is going to be, I think, much more challenging, in that all 5 of our CBAs expire on June 30th of 2027. So that will have an impact on the FY28 budget, because all 5 of them come at the same time in that cycle. Questions?
Are there any questions from the audience members that are here? All right, continue.
Please think of it. I'll sign it. Oh, is it no pen? Mary already signed it. I just had a couple of questions in regards to, the optimal budget. I see a lot of your expenses and revenues. I don't see where there was any cuts. Can you explain to me just a handful of the cuts that were made to get to your optimal budget? I see there's an increase of teachers and staffing based on ratios. I don't think it was ever identified, not to my knowledge, what was actually cut in the budget to obtain the optimal budget.
We didn't move forward with the optimal budget. That's the 5.35 or.
Okay, so the budget that we have that you're.
So 3.06 is
tonight.
3.06.
So can you just explain some of the budget cuts that were made that weren't student related, such as teachers or IT? I mean, what are some of the cuts that were made to get to that budget?
You can take that one.
Yeah, so I'll look at this. There we go.
And I want to point out that we're not voting on the budget tonight. This is just a hearing on the budget.
I'm just trying to
Okay.
gather the information. Thank you.
Sorry, it's just sitting here spinning for a minute. Open the original presentation on that staffing page that I did. No, I'm talking about. Okay. What slide on that?
Well, I know the office at Ashby Elementary School, that was the biggest cut out of the budget from last year to this year.
So, the changes that were implemented when we reduced the building were last year, or I should say FY26, not FY27. However, we have some areas where we've added staff, some of it happening this year, and some areas where we've reduced staff. So, but overall, the total change in staff from last year to this year is 3.85.
Up or down?
Up,
So you have more staff.
Yes.
correct.
So I was just interested in what the cuts were to come to that.
So there were adds and cuts, so you almost have to look at both, which is, we had a slide for this actually,
Yeah.
but.
We can, I don't know.
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, we can put it up, sure.
It's not in, it's not.
That's in the old
Jeremy's.
Okay, I can share that one if it helps.
Yeah, I can actually, right, yeah. I know. Is that all right? Is there anything in here
No.
that's correct?
Yeah, no, it's correct, and there's nothing that's identifiable, so.
Can I just clarify, cut from what?
I'm just trying to figure out how we get to the budget, what cuts were made. I understand.
But like cutting from what, I'm not understanding your question. Cutting from
the
what?
reductions from last year to this year. You've had an increase and you've shown the revenue and the expenses. So I'm looking to see where the budget was cut in order to shrink the budget down to the 3% that the town's asked for.
It was a lot of it's health insurance in special education placements.
Well, I mean, I know that you budgeted a lot more for health insurance and you just indicated that you think that's gonna come down.
Yes.
In cost. So
Yes.
you budgeted a lot higher, which we all anticipate higher
Yes.
insurance. So that wasn't a cut, that would have been.
But we didn't have a budget that was higher than 3.06. Like it's kind of where we kind of landed at that at our first
Right.
draft. The 5.35 is we just kind of added when we were asked by school committee to what would it look like, but we never actually anticipated that that would be what we would get because we knew what the financial situation was, but there isn't, like, for example, like a 4.1 that we cut to get to 3.06, like the 3.06 is pretty much our first step.
That's what,
Other than
So the school committee never asked you to go back with a reduced budget and cut some more?
no,
Not yet.
Not yet.
This is the first
This is the
opportunity.
first opportunity that is presented.
Okay, I think-
And then we go through, and then we listen to the town, and then the school committee decides we need to go back for more cuts.
as far as actual cuts go, there aren't actual cuts. This is our first budget that we're proposing.
Well, I thought that was the last meeting when they.
Can I just maybe clarify, the 3.06, is that level services from FY '26 to FY '27? Or were there cuts made between the two, I think is what, Mr.
It's primarily level services. There were not additional cuts made.
I think that's what you were trying to ask.
I was just curious.
There were some positional trade-offs, but they resulted in a 3.85% increase.
3.85.
3.8, yes.
So I think my understanding is correct, at the last meeting, the school committee had 3 budgets to look at, an optimal, level funded, and one that included keeping AES. So there was no questions or anything on the budgets or what consisted. I know that when we originally said they were looking, the school committee was looking to close Ashby Elementary School, last year when they put it on pause, they said it was approximately $600,000 cost savings to the town to close it. You would still have upkeep and maintenance, which you did. I think you said you budgeted $125,000 for that this past year when the school was on pause. My question is, where did that $1 million, because I know when you presented it to the school committee, you presented a $1.6 million to keep Ashby Elementary School open. I'm wondering where that $1 million increase came from. I know that you had mentioned that you would have to have a full-time principal, a nurse, a counselor, well, those didn't exist 6 months ago when the school was open. So I'm curious as to where did those mandates and requirements come from if we hadn't had them there for the last few years?
The only position that didn't exist was a full-time principal.
Do we have a full-time nurse there? My understanding is counselor.
Yep, nurse, counselor, secretary.
So I think that's what you were indicating, that
Custodian.
you added to the budget. So I'm just curious, as I think I emailed and asked the question as to what the $1 million extra combined, where did that come from? And I just wondered if the school committee had asked that question too, because it was indicated to close the school, it would be a $600,000 savings that year to the budget, which would have been fiscal '27. So I'm just wondering, to reopen the same school 6 months later, or it would be approximately a year later, where did the $1 million extra come in?
So in Brad's second statement, that second form that you put out, it had the listing of all the positions that would be added back in. Did you read his statement? It's on his lecture.
It's on the website.
It's on the website. And it lists out what positions were added
I'm
to
just curious,
reopen
how did it go
Ashby.
for a $1 million increase in 1 year of closing the school? The school still remains the same, you still maintain the school.
But the savings itself came from the consolidation of Spalding, Squanicook, and Ashby. That's where the savings came from.
Well, I think in your presentation, you indicated that closing Ashby Elementary versus Spalding at the time, so it was a little bit more, a little less of a cost savings because Ashby Elementary is smaller than Spalding. And I don't remember that being indicated. It was an individual, not
It's significantly smaller.
than Spalding.
Yes, yes.
So there would be a less of a cost savings, but you chose Ashby Elementary to put on the cost and not Spalding.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, again, I didn't hear any questions from the school committee at the last meeting when they voted as to what the $1 million extra came in at. Where did that come? You're telling me
So
that?
if I may, my understanding was much of the savings that came from Ashby Elementary School last year did come from the consolidation of staff, and that, was shifted around throughout buildings. Some people were not replaced, when they were retired or whatnot. But the $1.1 million, that additional increase, which I think you're referencing, is bringing back all of those staff members that we then need to staff Ashby Elementary School, which does not exclusively include schools like classroom teachers. It includes a nurse, a principal, custodial
secretary,
staff. So the savings from last year might appear less, but that's just as a result of the way that the numbers landed when people retired. Other people moved into different roles. if that makes sense.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
The operating costs of FY twenty-five for Ashby were 1.7 million. So some of those shift costs got shifted to Spalding, to Squanicook, but many did not. To bring that back, it wouldn't be the same 1.7 because there are the technology and infrastructure things that did not get done at the end of 25. And Jeremy could speak to those a little bit more too. So all of that came back, but that's not a cut because it was never actually in the 26 budget. So it's already been cut. So it wouldn't be cut again, if I'm understanding your question correctly.
Okay. I think my other question was at the same time that I know the MSBA had a loan on it, so I was just wondering where that might, I know they're trying to get a meeting together with the MSBA, but,
We have not heard back from them yet.
okay.
And so once we hear back, which I think you're on the emails and the towns are on the emails. And so we have not heard anything back from the MSBA.
I think my final question right now, if I can pause, would be so if the school committee voted last meeting to pick the budget that we're looking to vote on tonight, or have a public hearing on, I think you said March 10th, you're gonna make the final. Is there any recommendations from the board to come and make any other further cuts? Or are you putting?
That's why we're having the hearing, so that we can have the budget presented. And then finance will work on a part of it. We may get better numbers and the budget may move down further. But or it may move up. I mean, we'll see how the school committee, there's 9 people on the board, what their feeling is at this time. That's why the hearing is.
Would that have happened at the last meeting as well? Why weren't there any questions or considerations at that?
So we had a brief discussion, maybe not brief, during our last finance meeting, and even we briefly touched on it, the finance meeting before that, about a lower budget, a 2.47 budget, but that hasn't been fleshed out. The finance committee has not made a recommendation on any kind of budget yet. This is the first time that this is being discussed in a public forum, with the entire school committee about the merits of the 3.06 budget, and so forth. And I'm sure Kim Craven might have something to say about that if she wants to.
But the school committee is the one that voted on it at the last meeting, it's not.
We didn't vote on it. That's a purpose of this meeting.
Did you not bring forth a budget? It didn't include the Ashby Elementary School.
It's just a draft.
Just a draft,
Yeah.
but you had a few budget options to the school committee at the last meeting, correct?
Yeah, and then we presented those to
So you
finance.
voted
Yeah,
on
presented
it,
them.
like,
We
We
presented
discussed
them.
it in finance, and I think the overwhelming thought was not to propose I'm forgetting the percentage.
5.27.
Thank you.
Sorry,
5.27 budget, but that they were comfortable to present tonight at the public hearing a 3.06 budget. And again, there are
I understand
things
that.
that we are waiting on, numbers we're still waiting on, but essentially that it seemed like that was the best option, given that the towns advised us that they don't want to have an assessment that's more than a 3%. So that's why the decision was made that way for this hearing. And the committee may decide tonight to do something different, and their final vote on the budget will take place right around, on March 10th meeting. They actually need to vote 45 days before the first town meeting. So I believe it's scheduled for March 10th. So we would, listen to feedback from the towns, from the committee, and then propose a budget on the 10th.
so right now, the school, you guys are having a public hearing on the 3.06 budget.
Correct.
Because that is what we're required.
Yep.
Now, wouldn't it be that, I know that the role of the finance committee, and that's the same, wouldn't that be to bring it all and say these are our recommendations, but the school committee as a whole votes on it? The finance committee doesn't make the final recommendation, they bring forth the budgets. And I did see that, I mean, we looked at all the budgets at the last meeting, I was on the meeting virtually, as was all of you virtually, but I didn't see any discussion or any open dialogue on what the difference are between the three. It was just, this is the one we're voting on, and that was.
We didn't vote on a budget.
You voted on something to bring forth to tonight's hearing, which is a budget. It's a 3.06 budget.
That was the recommendation from the committee last time.
Yeah, I just didn't hear
The
much.
finance committee recommended.
Yes.
Yeah, but doesn't the finance committee recommend to the school committee, and the school committee then decides on which budget after a lot of discussion? I mean, we're doing that now with our, select.
Well, that's the process now. So if the school committee wants to move the budget up to a 5 point whatever,
2.7.
they could. I mean, we will see for discussion. I mean,
So the school committee has an option of looking at other options and making other further cuts.
This body can do whatever they want related to this budget in this hearing. We can't vote on a final budget, but if we want to discuss a 5.35 budget, we can discuss a 5.3 budget.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
any further questions from the audience?
Administrator for the town of Townsend. Thank you to all the volunteers for being here. I volunteer myself. I know sometimes it feels like a lot. My question just for the town of Townsend was more about with the hearing, I was sort of hoping to hear and see like projections. Like what's the story 5 years from now with population going down and you're asking for increase in teachers and you have a collective bargaining agreement. 4 of them, I think you said, Brad? 5. Townsend's in the same boat with several of its agreement, and I'm just trying to understand how they're all gonna fall, and if you're potentially adding FTEs, but your population's going down, it's counterproductive. Right. It's not a great ROI for what taxpayers are putting into the budget. And while they're likely asking for an override in Townsend, because we're $1.2 million in the hole, based on department requests, it's tough. It's a tough situation for the residents. So I was really hoping to see the story, what years 3, 4, and 5 look like from now.
So the only thing I can answer at this point is, as far as projections go, excuse me. It's always a question, how can the enrollment go down, but staffing go up? And the issue that we're facing is we're seeing a larger percentage of students qualify for special education. We also have our, I mentioned at a meeting earlier this year, I think it was 2 years ago, we had 1 MLL staff member, multilingual staff member in the district, and now we're over 5 in the district. So anytime you're looking at special education, multilingual, or even 504, you're looking at federal or state mandates where you have to hire staff to make sure that you're in accordance with those plans. So we're increasing staff there, but we're decreasing kindergarten teachers. First, second, third, fourth grade, 7th and 8th grade, we're cutting regular education teachers because they're not mandated. There's no actual mandated class size or anything other than what's really recommended for kindergarten at the state level. Even that, there's certainly room to go beyond the recommended 25. But that's really essentially what we're up against is looking at the increase in special education. And if you look at, again, special education, multilingual, any students that have additional needs, they're in excess of 30% of our total students now. And that's a growing trend across the Commonwealth. Our special education numbers especially have gone up significantly since COVID. Students fell behind, and you meet districts across the state are looking at an influx of requests for special education testing. And students are being found eligible at a higher rate than they were before. So it's a challenge. We can certainly look at what 5 years down the road might look like, but it is tough when we don't know what the special education numbers are going to look like. And I will say this year, we had a positive swing in bringing students back that were privately placed, bring them back into the district. And the hope is that even if our numbers go up or just remain high, that we're able to bring students back into the district, but also our special education department is working on bringing in 2 new programs next year to hopefully, again, bring students back, but possibly tuition students in from other districts to help with some of the rising costs in special education.
And then I guess because I'm a miser for this in Townsend and they're tired of hearing me say it, we're going to really leverage the levy limit, which the town has is 2.5%. And I guess I'm now saying it hopefully to your friendly faces that's going to be our guiding parameter for any budget stuff we have. Whether it be agreements for labor, I think it's 2.5. And I think that's all the town can really afford. Even then, we're probably in trouble with the level spending in Townsend. We're still in a deficit. So that's sort of where we're at as a town in general. So, but again, I know it's tricky. It's hard everywhere. Every town's looking at it these days. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from Pepperell?
Select Board Town of Pepperell, 8 Countryside Road. First, I'd like to thank the committee and the finance subcommittee for all the work they realize, the difficult task that the towns have asked you to do. And we started meeting, we did present a request for roughly a 3% increase, and you guys came through with that, with some very difficult choices. I know the allocations don't come out at the exact 3%, but you as a school board or a school district don't have control about all of that. It's more of a funding issue. I did like the slide that you presented about the per pupil and how it relates to other area schools, showing that North Middlesex has the lowest per student cost. That's at the request of the town, requesting that you control the cost. I personally, not as a select board member, do not think of that as detrimental to our students. I also know if you take your chart a little bit further, because I've done this, is looked at DESI and also looked at what the net reimbursement from the state is. North Middlesex also gets the least amount of aid from the state. So you have the towns requesting that you level service our children, but then also we have the state.
Uh-oh. Looks like they lost the Zoom link.
On foundation formula for budgeting for chapter 70. If you attend any of the public hearings that were held this last fall and last spring, every member of those committees said that the formula was broken. Yet no one put together a bill to force the bill to be looked at. I would ask every member of the school committee and every resident in each of our towns to write to our legislators or to meet with our legislators and demand that the Senate and the House select an independent third party to begin this process. The state Senate has not done anything as yet for this in this year, so that means nothing will start until fiscal 27. Fiscal 27, they'll deliberate for a year or two. We will not have a solution to this revenue problem until fiscal 30. I don't think that we as a district can stand for that anymore. We need to have a formal plan with our representatives and our senators to get this to our voices heard. What we've been doing has not worked. I've been to the State House for 2 years now at every public meeting advocating for this district, and our voices have not been very efficient. Again, I'd like to thank each member here for the effort and the time that you put into this budget, as well as the administration for all the efforts they do for educating our children. Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience? Are there any comments online?
Nobody's raising their hand. If you are a virtual attendee and would like to comment, if you could raise your hand. Anybody?
Anyone from the school committee have any comments or questions? Jack?
Just as far as the presentation, is that going to be shared?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Jeff?
Just a process question. So you know, as we're each kind of going through line by line on the budget and have questions, my understanding is that even if we were to attend this finance subcommittee meetings, we don't want to run into a quorum issue, right? So we are taking a listening role in that. So where is the best venue for us to say, all right, I have questions about this, or can we cut that?
So questions from the school committee should be all fed through Brad and I, and then we will feed them to Nancy or Jeremy or the correct person to answer those questions. That's so that we can tell them all together and like have a collective.
Right, because we don't want all
repository.
asking the same questions.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, and I do ask that everyone on the committee follow that rule, because Nancy and Kevin's time has to be considered, and so, anyone else have any questions?
You said that the board, school committee at this joint can make further recommendations or kickback. My understanding is that we've already sent the closure of Ashby Elementary School to the state. Can that be pulled back?
No, it cannot be rescinded at this time,
So
because
then
the process is in motion. Nothing can be rescinded from
So
this
one of the
body.
budgets that were presented to the school committee can now not be looked at.
We can go up in budget. The decision on Ashby closure, that's done. Like, it's been done. We can't go back and do Ashby, but we can bring our budget up by adding more staff, by adding more instructional services, things like that, if we choose to.
So am I wrong to say that then the budget was already presented to the school committee and voted on? If it didn't include Ashby Elementary?
The
I mean,
closure,
that was one of the schools within the district, so that was
the
included.
closure of
in-
Ashby was voted on, and the body voted.
They keep having issues with their transmission here, so bear with us. It's not me, it's them. Hopefully we'll get through this. Hopefully they come back. I think they will. Their meeting is still on. We just have a technical difficulties at the school. Hopefully they'll get that corrected and we'll be able to listen in on what they're doing. But they're talking about all kinds of stuff on the school budget. I don't think they'll be much longer, actually. But we shall see. Hopefully they come back. I have no comments regarding the school budget. It looks to me like they really cut the budget, cut from the original. A couple months ago, they had some projections on what the budget was going to turn out, and they were saying it was going to be closer to a 5% increase, and now they're just over 3%. And that's the overall for the 3 towns combined. And they're planning, the breakout between the towns is a little different. I don't think I saw that on one of the slides, but they did say, like, Townsend is a little under 3. I think Pepperell had an increase about over 3, just over 3, and Ashby had a decrease. They're below 3, I think. It's not increase or decrease, sorry. But they're, yeah. So I'm not alarmed by this budget. I think I'm pretty pleased, actually. It sounds like the our town administrator, and I'm not sure how our board feels. I mean, they want to do away with the school budget, I think. But, you gotta just deal with this. And I don't think it's bad, considering what it was a couple months ago. I don't have a complaint. Not right now. So hopefully they come back soon, because I really don't have much to say. I really don't have anything to say. But I don't, I'll, hopefully, if they don't come back after a couple minutes, I'm gonna, oh, they're coming back. Here we go. Yay!
For anyone at home, we did pause the meeting while correcting that. Did not miss anything. We are up. You guys can just.
Anyone from the audience? I'm gonna go back and ask anyone from the audience wanting to speak.
Mark Matthews.
Mark Matthews.
I'm looking for him, was here, but he dropped off. Yeah, he's not on.
Brown.
I do have Jessica Callan when you're ready.
Right, there were, but what I'm asking is what is the percent assessment for each of the towns over the assessment from last year? I see that there's a transportation, an operating budget, and a debt assessment, but and I understand that the total budget is 3.06, but what is the assessment for towns? And we need that for budgeting purposes. I know you don't go until March 10th, but with the budget you presented today, could you tell us
The percentage is 2.63
for Townsend?
for Townsend. That's operating and transportation, but not debt service, because debt service is excluded. So usually we separate that out. And so your debt service is 1,429,714.
Which is 13.82 higher than last year.
13.8, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica Callan.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Jessica Callan and Ashby. I apologize to ask you to repeat yourselves, but we actually missed on Zoom the conversation about Ashby Elementary School. The last thing that we heard was that there was a vote to close Ashby Elementary School, and then we actually were cut out of the Zoom. So I'm hoping that you can repeat what was said so that all of us can hear the conversation.
Go ahead, Keenan.
So the conversation that ensued was at the last school committee meeting, this body voted to close Ashby Elementary School. That decision at this time is permanent and cannot be undone. And any budget that might include Ashby Elementary School is null and void. All future proceedings and budgets presented will not include Ashby Elementary School as a factor, as we cannot undo that decision. I don't believe anything else of substance was
said. Yeah, I think that was kind of the end of it, and then the audio problems became apparent, and we stopped.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I just have one follow-up question. When the closure of Ashby Elementary School was it presented in a budget format? No. Okay. And then so the budget options that were presented on as recommendations that included Ashby Elementary School closing, that was not the factor that was voted on. It was a separate motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
All right,
Yep, I have Mark Matthews.
Okay.
You should be all set, Mark.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, first of all, thank you very much to the administration and the school committee for bringing together this budget and putting it together. I know it's a lot of hard work and difficulty, and also the point is to help our children become better leaders, so I applaud that. The question I have or concern is that you're a month away from voting on a final budget. We will hear on Wednesday some very difficult numbers for the town of Pepperell, And I recently heard the information from the gentleman from Townsend. I'm sure Ashby is going to be in some continued struggles, as we all are. I mean, it's been health insurance, it's been different costs that we have, and it is going to be astronomical. So I ask, I guess at this hearing, please don't stop. Look, turn over every stone, look for every opportunity. Again, we want to have good quality education for our children, but I think our communities, due to the lack of state funding, as Chuck Walkovich had already said, we are in dire straits. And this year is going to be horrible, and next year I think is going to be worse. So I appreciate the time. Again, I appreciate the hard work. This isn't easy, and I wish you the best of luck. So thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions from committee members or from the audience? Keenan?
Superintendent Morgan, we just saw presented a 3.06 budget overview. I understand that the 2.47 budget that the towns can support may not be fully fleshed out, or might not even be up to date, given that information from Townsend. Are you able to just provide the committee and the audience just a brief overview of what the 2.47 budget entails over the 3.06?
Yes, I don't know if you and Kevin want to start this and I can finish.
Yeah, I think, so essentially what we did was a scenario of a lower budget. This is prior to the governor's proposal. So 2.47 may not be what's necessary to get it down even further. But at the time, we took a look at how would we get down, and we reduced the stabilization transfer. We had increased that back. So we make no transfer to stabilization. We increased the use of E&D for to offset some of the capital in the regular budget. So we moved that to $2,250,000. We looked at FTE changes of 1.15 over FY26, which would have been 5 staff from the 3.06 budget. I don't know if there was.
I was just going to say,
it was really just a scenario. It's not to say that the committee would have to do it that way, but that was one option.
Yeah, and it would really provide us, 2.47 would provide us with absolutely no room to address any class size issues that we would encounter over the course of the year. And we would basically be continuing on with what we currently have this year as far as class size issues.
And
potentially worse.
And that budget was, or I should say scenario, that scenario was made with the 3% figure in mind for each of the towns?
Yes.
Is that, okay.
Yes.
Right, and since then, the governor has come out with a proposal, so that would be slightly different, I think.
Okay.
If we were to run that again.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
It's Jackie White.
Yeah, Jackie's got.
Oh, Jackie, you have a question. Jackie.
So two things. Just going back to what Mrs. Doherty said, and I think Jessica, one of the callers, just a question about, like, was there no budget consideration going into the Ashby question? And I just don't know that that's, maybe I'm confused by how it's being phrased, but like the thing that I relied on was this 47-page document from the superintendent that does outline numbers and going through many scenarios. And I think while it wasn't a specific budget we looked at, I guess, per se, like I'm thinking of the town ask, the district ask, and then the optimal option. And just knowing that we're not even close to, like already we're talking about going down to a 2.47% increase. Just, I don't know, those were the things in my mind as I was considering the closure question. So even though it wasn't specifically related to the budget, I guess, like there were those scenario plans in this documentation there. I guess my next question is just, Brad, if you may not be able to answer this, but anecdotally, have we started to hear from staff that they're just not coming back next year because they've been so overwhelmed by this year?
Yes, so I know that we have at least one early retirement at this point, just be surely related to class size in student need, coupled with the class size. I know that we have staff that are looking elsewhere if they can find a situation where their class sizes are going to be smaller. So I have heard from a number of staff. I have heard from the Teachers Association and the district on a regular basis saying that that needs to be the top priority, addressing class size. And just the fact that it's overwhelming to our staff to continue on down this road. So I do think that if we go into FY27 with a similar setup, that we are going to be looking at a large number of vacancies that we will not be able to fill. Filling vacancies in education used to be relatively easy. There used to be a very large applicant pool. It's very similar to what law enforcement is dealing with now. There is no pool of candidates. Jobs that used to, and I'm not exaggerating, that would generate 800 applications, a social studies position for middle or high school. We're getting single digits.
I can vouch for that, as someone who who is a teacher.
Yeah.
Like, used to be you couldn't get a social studies teaching job if you didn't have years of experience already.
So it's a real challenge, and of those single digits that are applying, a number of them aren't licensed. So that puts us in a situation where we can't hire them, and then we're hiring day-to-day subs. We still have positions in the district that we can't fill. So it's a challenge. I know a couple of years ago, we ended up cutting middle school foreign language. I've got other districts now asking me how we did that, because they can't find foreign language teachers anymore. They can't find them at the high school level, much less the middle school level. So other districts are looking to cut there. So it's a constant struggle. And you know, some the ones that are regularly hard to find, special education, math, science, are almost impossible to find that. That being said, even humanities positions, guidance counseling, physical education, those applications are few and far between. So it's definitely a fear if we lose staff, that we're going to struggle to replace them.
So I asked, because I want this to be more conversational, like for the towns that have spoken already, like please come up and share kind of your thoughts back to that. And how would you like us to go back and look at these numbers again, just keeping that in the back of your minds? Please, yes.
I'll follow that.
Awesome.
So as someone who loves a good negotiation, Kieran from Townsend, you leverage the teachers when it's 2.5%. You decide if you exceed that wage option, or you have more teachers to teach with, and make sure your students have a better experience and your community stronger. They have to decide. As someone who just went there and then they connect, one of the greatest opportunities for leverage was that it's the teachers unions that really need to go to the State House. As someone whose own community has written thousands of letters, sat with Margaret Scarsdale, Cronin, everybody, it's not changing. It's not changing anytime soon. So it's really the strongest elephant in the room is your teachers union. They need to go to bat for it. Or they have to just take 2.5%, because that's how you get more teachers in the classroom. It's really simple math. They're asking for more than the levy limit. Districts can't afford that. It's very black and white. It's just a math equation. So that's what you start with. It's 2.5%. We'll guarantee that. It's what I'm going to tell the staff in Townsend. I'm on record now. I've been on record for a while. It's 2.5%. That's the number.
Carla Lehman has her.
Go ahead, Carla.
Yeah, just a quick question. Did we have the same issue with overstaffing? I'm sorry, understaffing, capacity when AES was opened last year, or is this a new issue for this year?
As far as it's not a capacity issue, it's the ability to fill positions. So
And budget issue.
in the budget, yeah.
Finances.
Carla, does that answer your question?
No, my question was, did we have the same issue last year when AES was open? And were there enough teacher ratio per students compared to now where we're seeing
Oh,
lots
we
of
had-
complaints.
The year before, we had cut positions as well. Over the last 2 years, how many positions? 42? Or along those lines?
It's been just
I'm not
over a
asking
minute.
about cuts. I'm asking, do we have the same issue that is being brought up right now, that the teachers are complaining because there's too many students per classroom size? And we need to bring in more heads to cover that.
And I think it was because of budgeting. We reduced the amount of money we had available. The decision was made that some of those positions would not be filled. And there were reductions last year as a result of that. So I'd say the class size issue it's been ramping up, but last year was the first year where we had significant teacher reductions. The middle school model was reduced. A number of places where we consolidated everywhere we could so that we could fit into a budget that the towns could afford at that point. We started higher last year. We went through a variety of budget revisions. This year we didn't start with 527 because we knew the towns can't afford that, so.
Thank you.
I don't know if that helps.
Any other questions?
Mark Matthews.
Mark, go ahead.
You should be all set, Mark.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to. My apologies.
We can do a slide on that.
Okay.
All right. Keenan.
At the beginning of this budget process, we requested a number from the towns for what they could support. Can we reiterate what was that number in percentage wise? That they
A 3% assessment.
okay.
And that's per town, like
Per town,
their
yeah, per town.
assessment.
I just want to clarify from the Townsend Select Board or Town Administrator, you just said that you are now saying that you can only support a 2.5%, or is that going
I
forward?
can quote the letter if you want, and this is from our previous.
Sure, I'm happy.
So,
Can I have you come to the
Oh,
podium? Sorry. And just state your name and.
I'm Goodrich, I'm a member of the select board and I'm liaison to the school, so I've been enjoying all our budget meetings. Thank you very much for all those. Learned a lot. This is from the letter from Andrew, Nelson, and Mary, the 3 town administrators. In FY 27, we expect growth to be even lower. It is therefore critical that North Middlesex work within our limitations and produce new assessments within our projected annual growth. For FY 2027, we are collectively anticipating about a 2.6 revenue growth, levy, state aid, local receipts, and new growth. And that would be an increase to NMRSD of $1,067,072 in total new spending for the district, including debt service. So that mixes up the calculation slightly as it is both levy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I suppose I have the Ashby Town Administrator or Town Manager, my apologies. What is it that your town can support percentage-wise increase over last year?
I think we indicated in the letter that it was a 2%.
Sorry.
Yeah, we have the 2.65% was the increase. Our proposition 2.5 is only allows us to raise our property taxes by 2.5% every year. So that levy difference is automatically goes to the school. It has most budgets in every town. The school has at least more than 50% of the overall budget. I can only speak to Ashby because we have mostly property value. We're a bedroom community, unlike Pepperell and Townsend, who have a little bit more industrial and commercial. So we're only able to do the 2.5% is our growth. But I'm standing up here, you had suggested a few things. I had made some suggestions before, and I told it wasn't our budget to make recommendations, so forth. As our budget is our budget, it's not, the school committee's budget as well. But I'm just curious as to the non-union, what is the pay increase that's been budgeted into this budget for the administrative staff? The non-union.
I cannot speak to every staff member, but the superintendent's contract is a 3%. 3%. And I can't speak to any other administrator than that. That's the only one that I'm familiar with off the top of my head.
So we don't know if there's an overall non-union pay increase. We don't know what that is. How did we budget?
That's individually contracted.
Everybody has a contract. So clerical has a contract,
We all have contracts.
the business managers have contract. And you have a contract?
I have a contract. Yeah.
Okay, I just, and, mass law, the only people allowed to have contracts is our department heads, and there's just a few, but not all department heads are allowed to have employee contracts, so. Within those, I mean, are they due annually? Or is there a
Some are
three-year
annual,
contract?
some are every 3 years. They're either 3-year or annual, generally.
Has there been any reduction to the administration staff
Last year,
this year? I'm talking about.
no,
No.
No.
None proposed,
no.
none suggested by the school committee? I just know when I present a budget, we're asked to make cuts in all areas, and we've had to make drastic cuts as well. We're probably gonna look at those as well as this year comes in, as Townsend and Pepperell both indicated. You know, we're up against a lot of the same or different mandates, but same. We're required to pay the contractual, we all have unions, just as yours, we have teacher unions, we have highway unions, we have police unions, the other towns have fire unions as well. So I'm just interested if the boards look, and the school committee is looking to do any suggestions of making any administrative cuts.
So I can speak to myself personally. When we talk about when I look at administration, there's two different things. I'm looking at central office administration, I'm looking at building administration at individual schools. When we're talking about individual schools, we have a lack of administration in the building. They're overextended already. And central office staff has been picking up the slack where they can, but they have their own jobs to do. So this is me personally talking, not for the committee. I don't see any spot where we can reduce administration without impacting student experience. I don't think I have anything else to say on that.
Well, I just know in the towns, and I can't speak for the towns and the Pepperell, but in our town, we've cut all administrative assistants. So any assistant to a person was cut years ago and never brought back, only because we have a very limited budget due to the 2.5 proposition mandate to us. So we can only raise what we can raise, and we can only tax what we can tax. So we've made those cuts, and we've never unfortunately been able to bring them back. So we too wear a lot of hats. I wear several hats for the town of Ashby, and we have to do that because of our budget constraints. So we have constraints that we can't hire the staff that we need as well. So we make do with what we have. So we work with what we have, and we make do with what we have. Could life be a lot better? My job would be a lot easier. They talk about early retirement. I might look at early retirement just because of the budget constraints. It makes this job very hard. If we had unlimited money, then it makes everybody's job a lot easier. But unfortunately, we have what we have, so we can only budget what we want and what we need. I'm sorry, not what we want. There's a lot of wants out there, but so I mean, I just, right now we have 2 business managers right now. Not to call out anybody, but I'm just wondering when that might change.
Next year.
Next year.
Next year.
Yes, that will change next year. And then I'm going to point out that they have cut administrative assistants because the school committee used to have one that helped more. And the assistant superintendent had one too, right? There was more administrative assistants back years ago. And they've reduced it. So Robin fills in for the assistant superintendent, the superintendent, and the school committee as an administrative assistant.
Yeah, just to clarify, the school committee for 16 years that I've been on has always used the superintendent's executive assistant, so we didn't have her on separate.
Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for sharing an idea. If I may ask.
Oh, sure.
Just contractually, because I don't know the answer to this, if you do look at reducing staff like that, for someone who's under contract and or not giving them the raise that's in the contract, like what are the ramifications for doing that?
Well, I'm talking about the non-union. I mean, right now, we have the contractual as well, so we have to, whatever contractual and budgeted, we have to budget for that, because it is a contractual,
Right.
whether it's.
Just sounds like we're in a different position, maybe, because we have so many contracted roles.
Yeah, I was unaware that they were all contracted roles, and normally non-union people are the administrative staff.
Yeah.
Again, our administrative staff is 32 hours, and I cut that down to 19 for cost savings. So it saves the town of Ashby $50. So again, that makes more work for me. As you said, some of the administrative assistants are gone, so we do have to make those concessions to meet the budget, because I have to bring forth a balanced budget to the town. to vote on, so I appreciate just those considerations. And again, I apologize for not thanking you all. I know everybody else did, so I really appreciate our selectmen. You guys are all volunteers and it is a lot of time consuming away from your family, so I appreciate it.
Randy?
And now that I'm advocating for this right now, I think our budget is close enough, we don't have to go here, but in the past, many years ago, under Joan Landers, when I had most of my experience as on the school committee, in the really tough times, there was 1 or 2 years that were really, really tough. She actually negotiated with a lot of the non-union members or of the staff, as well as with the unions, for a reduction in the year against their contracts and everything, just everyone kind of pitch in. So in really, really tough years, that's always an option to try and go to every meeting and say, hey, can everybody pitch in and get agreements?
Any more questions? Kenan?
I know it was a while ago that we just went back to that and we heard that the town of Ashby and the town of Townsend are able to support 2.5%. Going back to that 2.47%, to be clear, that was in a previous iteration scenario of what the towns could support. That was made under a 3% assumption, correct?
For the assessments.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the debt is excluded, it's outside of the 2.5, so I mean, usually people look at those as separate things, but yeah, it was really not a 2.5 in the case of the prior.
Okay. Thank you.
Not to say that we couldn't make a change that would get there, I'm saying at this point, we weren't looking at that.
You know, we sort of backwards engineered it, said how much would we need to spend to get to 247? We found it was around 400,000, so we didn't piece by piece say what that 400,000 was, we just knew what the target would be.
Yep. Right. All right. Go ahead.
Brian, Townsend, I guess the question is then, could more money from E&D be used to offset that 400,000?
The committee, yeah,
Thank you.
the committee would have to look at it. And in our upcoming discussions, we will discuss that as well, to see if E&D will be, or a different funding would be found. Any more questions? Any questions from the audience online?
Actually, I have one more. Can we just talk about school choice for 1 second? Can I ask a question about it?
Sure.
So it's right now on as a revenue line item. I forget what the dollar amount is, but if we're saying a no to school choice, we would not be getting that revenue in, right?
That's gonna be going away.
Yeah.
It's slowly reducing over the years
Yeah.
because we have had less and less school choice students. However, there's a fairly large balance in there, so I don't see where we wouldn't be able to use that same number. Unless the committee was like, absolutely not, we want to leave all that money in school choice, but we could, I'm trying to wean off of it as other funds become available to shift it so that we're using less of it, knowing that we're not bringing more in.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And to clarify, school choice, we get 5,000 per student, is that correct?
That's correct.
Plus there's, if they're a special education student and there are costs associated with it, they'll reimburse us for that as well.
I actually just have the number.
And that number, that 5,000 has not changed since 1993, that we continue to get 5,000 per student. Go ahead, Randy.
So yeah, we used to have, we were doing this consistently, about 80 students in K to 12 in the district. And we were getting 400, 500,000 was the maximum. All this information can be found on the DESE website. They do have for every year school choice in, school choice out, and we can see in the last, I think, 4 years it's been since, or 5 years. Maybe it's been 6. I forget how long when we stopped.
It's been a while.
Since we stopped taking in school choice students, which is why that number is going down. So we still have them in the district, in the upper grades, because once they're in the district, they stay in the district. We don't send them back just because we leave the program. We just don't take anybody new in.
well, we can't send them back, right? Like
No.
that's, yeah, once they're in, they're
Once
in,
they're in,
as
they're
long as they
ours.
want to stay.
Yes.
The most recent number I have is in 2023, with all the adders, it was $6,623 per student we got. And our per pupil that year was 19,800, so we were minus 12,000 per kid.
Right, but, you know, adding a student here or there, like we hear it, if we
Right, I'm just saying.
lose a student or
just-
two,
yeah,
it
just-
doesn't
Yeah.
affect the
Just run
budget. If we gain a student or two, it doesn't necessarily affect the budget, so
Yeah.
that money can be helpful.
Oh, absolutely, I'm just saying, this,
Yeah.
just,
Yep. Well, that's the reason why it's only at 5,000, because you add one student to one class in one grade, you're not gonna, your per pupil cost is not gonna go up by that much. So that's the theory, at least. It should go up. It has not changed in a very long time, so I'm not trying to make the argument that 5,000 is enough. But we shouldn't, you know, I don't see them ever going to what the per pupil cost.
no, in
for
2008, it
placement.
was half, and now it's a third, so.
Yeah.
All right, any more questions?
I'm just wondering if we could do a recess in between closing
Oh,
the hearing and starting the
yes, we
school
will.
meeting.
Any more questions? Any more questions online? Can I get a motion to close the FY public hearing on the budget at 7:36?
So moved.
That is Keenan Francois and Alexander Van Cloody making the motion. Be a roll call vote. Keenan Francois.
Yes.
Randy Rush. Michael Lavoisier.
Yes.
Jackie White.
Yes.
Alexander Van Cloody.
Yes.
Lisa Bloom. Online, Carla Lima.
Yes.
Is Kim Craven still on? Kim has left? Okay. And myself is yes. Before continuing, may I take a motion to have a 5-minute or 2-minute recess?
A few minutes.
5?
5 minutes. Close our meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, you can do that once. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait, motion to adjourn is at
37.
37. Good job.
Are you good? All right. Now, can I take a motion to take a 5-minute recess?
So moved.
That's
Second.
Keenan and Michael. All right, Lisa Bloom. Alexander Van Cloody. Jackie White.
Yes.
Michael Lavoisier.
Yes.
Randy Rush. Keenan Francois.
Yes.
Carla Lima.
Yes.
And myself, yes. It will be 5 minutes, so we'll come back at 7:42.
Okay, well, I was only half listening at the end there. I thought they were saying that they were recessing and coming back to the regular meeting, but I don't even know what's on their agenda. So I'm not planning on staying. As far as I know, our select board is leaving because they were there for the public hearing on the budget. And that's really why I was there. So, I have no idea. I didn't even look to see what was on their agenda. Otherwise, I thought it was just the budget summit. So I don't want to stay. Anybody have any opinion? Anybody want to say something in the live stream? Or you're just going to talk with your feet and leave the meeting? leave the video, I think is probably what's happening. A couple of people just left. Okay, so I am going to end this. So I want to, in a couple seconds anyway, if I can find what I've got here. Oh man, what am I doing? Right here. Okay, so thank you everybody for being here and hanging in there and watching this budget conversation. I hope it was beneficial to everybody. And Townsend did have a lot to say, despite what they thought they would not say too much, but he has to comment, so he did. Which was, I think, there was nothing wrong with what he said. I'm not making fun of him. But anyway, yeah. So thanks for hanging in there for another video and going over. We now have a little picture of the budget from the school end of things. And I know there was a lot of debate I think the towns still want the school committee to cut the budget some more. And I'm really not that concerned about it. I think it's very reasonable. I think they're increasing it less than they did last year. So you have to I mean, things go up, so it's gotta go up. But there's a lot of strain on the system already. They were talking about some problems keeping teachers. Teachers just don't want to have these class sizes, which is just too much. And they're not just whining, it's really a problem. So things are getting tough for schools all over, and we're an example of that. So I've usually been pretty supportive of supporting the schools as long as they communicate what's going on. And I think that they are working harder at that. I think they did a good job tonight. I haven't followed the last couple finance subcommittee meetings, so I was pleasantly surprised with what I just saw. So anyway, that's all I have. I think there's another select board meeting tomorrow. I forgot what time that is. I'm not going to look it up right now. I do have some missions to go on during the day tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be back in time. I hope they're not doing another 3 o'clock meeting. If they are, I'll still try to get here. And I apologize if I don't make it. But I will. They got a full agenda for tomorrow for their meeting, so I'll be doing that. Tonight we missed the Board of Health and Planning Board. I don't know if they're still meeting. I'm not going to go check. So we'll just have to wait for them to come up on the Townsend YouTube channel. And if there's anything worthy of me rebroadcasting, I will consider that. Okay, so have a good evening, everybody, and I will catch you on the next video, whenever that's going to be. Okay, take care, everybody.